Hello and welcome to Warblog. This is just a quick sort of overview really of the current situation at the Turkey-Syria border, in particular at the at this place, Tel Abyad. Which, as you can see, is right across the border from Akakail. Yeah. So basically, it's sort of, there's no combat here in the sense that it's not even one of those. It sort of represents what's actually happening. Although when it says no combat, Turkey is currently firing its artillery into Al Abyad. So it's firing its artillery into there, and they're flying sorties. So you've got these F4s down here. They're flying sorties over, but they're not unloading ordnance. So basically, Turkey are claiming that the Syrian Democratic Forces are predominantly, and I don't want to sort of be quoted on this, it's just I'm just sort of roughly digging out what I can perceive from different websites, but it's saying that they're basically PPK, either sympathisers or units, probably a bit of both. It doesn't surprise me. Turkey has had a lot of problems with these PPK or whoever they are, since forever, and they sit there in Iraq. And if you recall one of the other games that I wrote, it was primarily exactly the same scenario where the PPK had bases in northern Iraq, and they were crossing over into Turkey to commit their sort of attacks. I don't want to say terrorist attacks, because what else are they? We can call them that, but basically carrying out their assaults from the safety of another country, as a lot of these things are done. Why is my computer so crazy doing things? Anyway, so essentially there's a lot of tension there at the moment. Now, exactly what the border situation is, I don't know. I don't think there's lots of Kurds all lined up along the border and lots of Turks all lined up on the border, and they're just going to pour across. I think it's relatively empty. There's this town. There's probably lots of little bases. Now, it depends on what you read as to what's happening. But one thing that is also happening is there are these US units, and they are in there as I've got them as a Raqqa. I did have a mechanised unit, but you can actually see the pictures of them. Let me just see whether I can squeeze across a few. So basically, I'll move this south front thing over so you can have a look at that. And here is, these are not US forces. It always amazes me how they get these nice pickup trucks, and but when you see these vehicles in the background here, let's just play it. Hopefully it won't crash my computer. It says here, US forces have been increasing activity on the Turkish-Syria border, citing, according to blah blah blah, Turkish cross-border fire and air strikes on Kurdish militias in northern Syria. However, the article emphasises that monitoring has not started yet. You can see I've got my computer from hell here. Everyone seems to be busy filming everyone else. But here's the US troops. So you can see their big American flag, and you notice how the Americans don't have 4x4s with heavy machine guns mounted on the back. You can spot the Americans because they've got the proper stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4 wheels, lots of stuff, big heavy cannons. Obviously a big windscreen so that they can observe. Pretty hefty bit of kit, loaded with sort of spades and shovels, no doubt, for digging, and I don't know. This looks pretty impressive. And of course they're brand new. Big 50 cal American flag. Imagine a big horn look. Towing features, headlamps, indicators, mirrors, everything. This film is made by Dr. Partisan. So here's the last of the American one. So it's not really much of a company, and it's not particularly offensive. And then here comes. He hasn't even got a. Why is he going there? Is he going on a picnic or something? He hasn't even got a gun in the back. You know? He's going to Walmart. Anyway, I'm not going to bother with any more of this because it's doing my computer in. Oh no, that's the end of the video. Okay, but what I did find was so there it is there. So I've given it one assault because it's obviously, you know, they've only really got three 50 mil cannons, and maybe a few other guns, but you know, it's hardly offensive. But I'm pretty sure that they can defend themselves. They've probably got a few bazookas and rocket launchers hidden inside there somewhere, and I think anything that happens to them, there'll be sort of probably, you know, an airstrike and or whatever. I'm not sure what they've got in support, but it must be pretty strange being just three American trucks driving around in northern Syria. Although it's not ISIS territory, it's still, you know, they're not actually even welcome there, are they? Let's face it. I mean, what's his name? Ebadam, the Syrian Prime Minister. He doesn't want the Americans on there. So anyway, I'm not partisan, so but, you know, that's how it is. So, but anyway, there it is. There. So basically, what you do with this unit is you drive it up and down this road, observing. Now, obviously, I don't think this is sort of going to happen. But if you read the Institute of War article, I get this as a newsletter, and to be quite honest, it's sort of, when you look at this in comparison to the South Front article, it's just words, but it is quite useful. There it is, Erdogan, that's the guy. But basically, lots of words. Erdogan, so blah blah blah. So it says here, Turkish forces are shelling the town, and local sources indicate that Turkish warplanes are flying sorties above it, although without dropping munitions thus far. Unconfirmed reports also indicate Turkish-backed opposition groups may be amassing for an offensive. So that's what I've got there, but I've not got a Turkish-backed militants. I've got the Turkish army, so maybe I should have done it slightly different. Erdogan may launch the operation before his upcoming meeting with President Trump in Washington on the 16th to 17th of May. So that's in like 3 weeks. So basically that's what this article says, and the Institute for the Study of War is probably a little more sort of reliable than South Front. So it is saying that you know, they are really sort of gearing up to do this, and probably do it before, and it's an extension of their Operation Shield, Euphrates Shield. So they might just pour straight across the border and actually take this. And obviously the whole idea of them taking it would be to remove the supposed PPK units. But obviously what we've got now are these American units in, and all they have to do is drive around, and you know, the Turkish probably can't afford to start hitting these American units, and they are actually American units. You know, obviously I showed you the video of the big American flag, and you know, that wasn't I was watching some of these videos of what these militants have been doing with these, you know, they're welding plates and making their own armoured cars. They're quite crazy. They strip off all the rest of the car and just make almost scratch built armoured plate, you know, cabs. And no, those were not scratch built by a bunch of people with a welding torch. Those are proper American sort of, you know, armoured fighting vehicles. And so essentially the mind boggles really, because what we don't have in this equation are sort of Russian people running around, and you can just imagine the Russians and the Americans bumping into each other and starting World War III. And you can't imagine it, but I mean that's the ingredients. But you've got now Turkey threatening these Kurdish units, who a lot of people say are backed by, almost directly and completely by the US government. I mean, I don't really know, but essentially, these they are there. I don't want to sound really boring, but they are actually there as American units driving around. And so if the Turkish, now it's not actually Turkish units, it says Turkish-backed militants, so maybe I should change the setup here, but I'm not so fast. You get the idea. It's Turkey, Syria, and there's this sort of place, and there's a few other places that are mentioned. But what I'm sort of trying to get to here is this article, which is actually it's foreign. I've got this. I'm actually looking at this in Chrome, and so you can see the original text. If I put my mouse over it for long enough, original text: Firat Kalaki Bilesini Jazbaz. So it's converting this. But if you actually, it makes for interesting reading. Their eyes were turned to Afrin and Tel Abyad. So maybe Afrin is in with this scenario as well. So maybe I should be sort of thinking about where Afrin is in relation to all of that. After the air campaign in Sincar, ballistic firing was increased in recent days to areas under PKK occupation. So this article is actually assuming that they are actually under PKK occupation, because I'm pretty sure that the Turks don't really sort of differentiate between the Kurds and the PKK. They're probably all the same to them, if not in reality. Some members of the Euphrates Kalkani group, which I've not heard that phrase before. It's probably more, whatever site this language this is written in, is probably the Euphrates Shield group. Group went to ready order, which I think you don't see words like that elsewhere. Presumably they're on red alert or hot alert or ready to go. Order for the operation of Tel Abyad. In operation, the PKK zone on the northern border of Syria will be divided into 3 parts. One of the plans on the floor is the special forces entering Abyad, and that looks like a special forces tank, doesn't it? Yeah. So numerous terrorist targets were destroyed, with operations against Tel Abyad and Afrin occupied by the terrorist organisation PKK in the north of Syria. Afriners from the Kirikan district of Hatay and the district of Akakale of Sunfurhofer, Tel Abyad was fired with storm of sessions and tanks. Now, it sounds like they've actually done something. What it means in English, I don't know. It was learned that the terrorist groups had a great panic during the shootings aimed at the terrorist groups that carried out the harassment against Turkey and changed the positions of police stations and headquarters near the border. So it doesn't really make much sense in English. That looks good. 5 terrorists ineffective in van. I don't know what that means. So anyway, but if you so the thing is, all I did was type in Tel Abyad into Google News, and they're basically all in foreign languages. And look, ambushed in Sudan, 12 dead, 17 injured. But it gives you a different perspective on sort of things that are happening. Arranging old age pensions for security guards. Is this sort of clickbait or something? Are you over 55? Oh God. So anyway, I thought there were more pictures on this. Let me get rid of that. So essentially that's that. Not much more to say about it. I'm certainly not going to play it. This is sort of like one of those more other types of videos where it's more of a sort of just discussing and looking at information on a current live situation. I mean, just to sort of put a slide in there, there's a lot going on with Northern Korea, and basically I just looked at North Korea and thought that's just too much. I mean, this is just about, I can get my head around this. Nice simple map, North Korea, all those units. I don't think I couldn't get my head around it. Too complicated. But anyway, so I'll see you later. Okay, so I've basically added some Turkish-backed militants here. They happen to be Free Syrian Army units that I had hanging around in the box, so to speak. But the Turkish backs, the militants, I don't know who they are. They just says Turkish backed militants. So if it's not the FSA, you know, whatever, whoever they are, that's who they are. And I also added some Kurdistan Workers' Party irregulars that, you know, you can sort of say, well, they're mixed in there. I had to look it up, but I sort of knew it. But Kurdistan Workers' Party is the PKK. I'm always going to put it in there in the description, but I couldn't be bothered. So, but anyway, so that map now looks a little more involved. I mean, it's got the PK on it. It's got the PKK on it. It's got the Turkish-backed militants. You know, if these are the people that are actually going to do the coming across the border type thing. So that's that really. Just another couple of minutes to add on to that other video. But here you can see, you know, the extra stuff is added, so to speak. Nothing more to say really. Speak to you later, mate.